video for these window regulators. So I said I was going to, in the last video I just announced, I said I was going to do a video on the new front window regulators that I got for aftermarket. And so I wanted to get on here and do that. Well, I was going to do a actual video, and then I'm like, you know what? I'll just do it live. So, anyways, I wanted to show you that. So this is the new front window. This is the left-hand side. This is the front hand window regulator aftermarket. So as you can see here, if you watched the video, hopefully you have, and that's why you're here, it looks just like the factory Tesla one, except it's not black. This is uncoated galvanized steel, and it doesn't have the motor right in the middle. So it lacks the motor. So what you got to do is swap the motor from your old window regulator onto the new window regulator. And so you do that by undoing this zip tie and then bolting it up. There's three T25 Torx bolts, Torx screws that you're going to put on there. And then after that, you got your traditional top studs up here. And then you got your bottom mounts on the bottom there. So these are what's going to go through the inside of the door and then go down. So you'll feed it in the door just like this, and then you'll mount it in. And then it's traditional. You got your lock back here where the back of the window clips in, and then you got your front up here with the bolt that tightens it down with the wedge style. So that's the new aftermarket one. And then this one is the same one, but the OEM Tesla one. So as you can see, it's got the top studs. This one has the motor, so it comes with the motor. So if you need a motor, then you would order this one here. And other than that, everything else is pretty much identical. So it still has the same clips on the back. I'm not gonna let it sit on my lap to get white lithium grease on me, but this is it. This is the factory Tesla one. And so let's see. The part number for this one is 6006551 dash 00 dash L. So that's the part number for this one. And that's again the factory Tesla one. So that's the bulk of the video that I wanted to show you on this. I'm gonna get these off to the side. Now I kind of wanted to show you what else we have to offer. Oh, thanks for everybody joining. What's up, bro? What is this? I was just explaining the Tesla Model S front window regulators. I got some aftermarket ones and some stock ones. So hopefully you're here because you have a Tesla. I know Sean the gym rat, you don't have a Tesla. What are you doing here? No, I'm just kidding. Welcome, buddy. Um, so yeah, I was going over the differences. I'm going to keep that video and I'm going to refer people to this live, so that way they can say, "Well, how am I supposed to replace the front window regulator?" And then also, I wanted to kind of show you guys what else we have. So um, we have different things like this here is not just high chews, but these are Tesla Model S and Model X front, not front window. Oh gosh, not window either. Sorry, I'm trying to concentrate on opening this. Show us the Tesla. My wife's got it. I don't have a customer car here today. So these are the scroll wheels. These are made out of billet aluminum. They're really nice pieces. These are scroll wheels. So when you hold the steering wheel, the volume that you adjust, if you press them too hard, they break the little tabs off. So people are always breaking them. So these are ones out of aluminum. They're called infinity wheels. They'll never break. Uden. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. But Uden, what's up? All right, so that's that. Here are, oh geez, a bunch of clips. So these are for a lot of trim pieces on the Tesla. So these are part number 1014969. Got a bunch of these if you need them. Is there anything else you guys want to see that I kind of have here? Oh, these ones are kind of interesting. So these are some big old bolts. So these bad boys are for the front suspension. You're butterfingers, boy. So these are for the front suspension, and it's kind of crazy. So to replace, well, you have to buy a new one because when Tesla put these cars together, right? They put the suspension on, they put everything together, and then they put the battery pack in. That was like the last thing they did. Well, if you ever have to replace your front suspension, if you go to take out the bolt, it'll actually run into the battery pack. And so there's the only way you can get this bolt out is if you drop the battery pack. And if you know anything about a Tesla, a battery pack is basically the car. And so it's like 1,400 pounds and it's not easy. So what we found out, what you do instead, you take a grinder, you cut it off, push the bolt out, and then when you need to put it back together, you put the bolt in from the other direction and put the nut on that side. So that's what these are for, front suspension. Did you know that, Sean? All right, what else do we have? These here are your window switches. Roll your windows up and down if you need to. This is on a Tesla Model S. It's also the same as a Mercedes. These are some Brembo brake pads. These are for the front. Yep, these are fronts. Brembo brake pads. You do now. That's right. See, and you thought you'd be learning in school. Here you are learning on a live with your uncle. All right, these are this here is the whole MCU, the printed circuit board for Tesla Model S and a Model X. These are kind of cool because if you look closely, see at the top, it's got actually a picture of a Tesla Model S at the very top. Didn't need to, but they did, just so you know what you're looking at. But this is what runs basically the whole car. And this is the circuit board. Then it has other things that mount to this, like uh, your digital antenna. It's got a little battery, a memory card, a bunch of things on there. Don't often have to replace these, but in case you do, I got them. And what else here? This is kind of my bread and butter right here. These are Tesla Instrument, the main screens. So the big screen that goes in the front of the car. A lot of times these will leak, and so this is a replacement for that. These are what I sell the most of. These and instrument clusters, both of the screens. What's some big items? Yeah, this is a inside the fender well. This is your basically sits right behind the tire. Got some headlights up here. This is actually a used one. Big old headlight, used one. If anybody needs a used big headlight, I got you. How do they leak? So they never sealed them up right from the factory with Tesla. And so they got like so basically it's got what's called a digitizer. So it's a piece of glass, and then it's this goo that goes in between there. And then there's the actual screen. And so they never secure the digitizer to the screen well, and it leaks out. And so what'll happen is over time, you'll eventually get these air bubbles inside of there. And that's that liquid leaking out and it's filling with air, and so it just looks like crap. It doesn't affect anything. Everything still works perfectly fine, but it just looks terrible. And when you spend the money on the car, you want it to look good. These are cool. So these are Tesla Model 3 and Model Y evaporator cleaner coils. So I had these custom printed, and basically what you do on these is so it's about the same size as an air filter. And so on the Tesla Model 3, you have your air coming in from the outside, right? Comes in, it goes across the regular air filter, and then it goes through what's called an evaporator. And when it goes through that evaporator, that's where your refrigerant goes through there and it chills the air that you get on the inside of the car. So what happens is you get condensation on that evaporator coil, and if it doesn't drain off, it turns into mold. And so what we've found out is you just put this in there, and then you run this little hose in it, and then you pump this foam through the evaporator coil. So you put this on there, and then you push the button, and it kind of pushes that foam through it, and it cleans it all out. So if you need one of those, I got a couple of those. Those are cool. Thanks. Oh, you guys are saying hi to each other. That's nice. Ahmed saying hi to Marianne. Nice job, Marianne. All right, what else we got? These are the door handles for Tesla Model S. So if you're familiar with the cars, you'll know if you walk up to them, the handle will present itself. It'll push out. And then these are the replacements for that. So sometimes these gears back here will break. This gear here will also break. This sensor will malfunction, or this magnet will come off on the front. And so I basically have all the parts to support this. And so when you walk up to the car, it pushes the handle out. There's no handle on this one. You transfer that over from your old car to your new car. And yeah, you did. I forgot about that, Sean. Yeah, you did. Yours was a different one. Oh man, I went to find that video. I don't know if I ever did anything with that. I forgot that you replaced that. That was fun. Yeah, so this is a newer generation where there's not as many parts to change like we did on the one that you helped me with. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Charge port doors. So these are the Model S charge port doors. The old school ones used to have a magnet on the back. So nowadays they're all motorized. So you walk up to the car and you can take the wand, the charging wand, look at it, press the button, it'll open the door, plug it in, and then when you're all done, you just take it out and the door will close itself. Well, on the old ones, it was just a magnet. You press the button and it would release it by a spring, but then it would never close. You had to go out there and actually manually close it. So hopefully, glad we came away from that because that's kind of annoying to have to close it, you know? Nobody wants to have to close their charge port door. All right, I lost a lot of you guys. What else you guys want to see? You're bored. How about this bad ride? There we go. Is this more to the liking? So this is electro. This is my daughter's Electro and Co. ETM RTR. So all electric dirt bike. You know, it's 50 mile an hour. So this thing's a blast. Except she doesn't know it yet. But yesterday I was riding it, and it's so fast that it'll pop a wheelie. Well, I ended up I accidentally broke. I broke this back piece. So she hasn't noticed it yet. But I know when she does, she's not going to be happy. But yeah, this thing's it rips. Check this out. Yeah, so it'll pop a wheelie, no problem. And yeah, pretty fun little toy. All right, back to the parts. Now you guys got some excitement. Down here, I got a bunch of brake disc rotors for a Tesla Model S and a Model X. A bunch of hubs here. This is not a hub. This is a CV axle. Hubs. These are the suspension components that I was talking about. So this is the front control arm for a Tesla Model S and X. And as you can see, I say S and X. Tesla does a really good job at carrying over parts from one manufacturer to the next. Not one manufacturer, they are the manufacturer. From one model to the next. So the X and the X have a lot of the components. The 3 and the Y have a lot of the same components, and that was smart on their part. Basically, you can, and it's nice. I don't have to carry a ton of parts. Basically, 2 per Tesla, because the S and the X have a lot, and the 3 and the Y have a lot. The things on the bottom shelf. Yeah, so these here are hubs. So you'll recognize this. This is where you mount the wheel to. So this is your lug nut, and this is called a wheel hub. And so what this is it sits with a giant bearing on the inside. Now this one's splined on the inside, so that means that a drive shaft goes through here, a CV axle goes through here. So this can be used on the rear or the front of the vehicle. And so this mounts to the control arm, and then your wheel bolts to this, and then it spins as you go down the road. Oh, it's kind of hard, but it's a brand new bearing. That's the one that's out of the box. And then this one, another one's out of the box. These are called jack staffs. These are kind of interesting. So this is similar to that spline shaft that I just showed you. Hey, Sean, saying hey. Oh, that's nice. Marianne, you're like the greeter. Thank you. So this is called an intermediate shaft or the jack staff. And so basically this will go, the motor mounts to this, and then it carries the motion to another CV axle. So instead of them putting this heavy load on the CV axle, they use this as an intermediate shaft to get it out a little bit further because they basically need where the motor's at. They need it to go out just a little bit more and then go down to where the wheel is. So that's what that is. You need to put a wheel bearing on the snow, on the dirt, and no heat. Haha, no torque wrench. I need to put my wheel bearing on in the snow, on the dirt, and no heat. Oh, I see. I mean, you don't need a torque wrench, but yeah, it's that would suck to do it in the snow and the dirt. What's the pink thing on it? The pink thing? Oh, that's a good question. You're very observant, my man. I didn't even notice it. I love this. I don't know why it's painted pink, but that's the C clip. So that, so on the inside of the motor, it has these splines and then it has a groove where that C clip goes. And so a lot of these you'll know when it's in place when you push it and you hear it click. You hear it click in place. And that's that C clip getting pushed in. And so a lot of these to get them out, it's not as easy as just pulling it out because the C clip really holds it good. Um, and so you gotta have a contraption, which I've made, and it basically looks like I don't know, a noose. I don't know if it should say noose. I don't YouTube probably doesn't like that, but it looks like a circle. And so you put it over there, and then it has a long rope, steel cable, and then I take it and put it onto a slide hammer, and I just yank it, and eventually to just pull this thing right out of the motor. Putting them back in is not too bad. What else you see, Sean? You should rent a torque wrench before actually. Yeah, I mean, you can always just do good and tight. Yeah, a Ford Escape hybrid with 300,000 miles and the bearings are all pressed in, but I just buy the whole knuckle. That's probably not a bad idea, especially if the car's been up north in the rust area. Oh, you said snow. So yeah, I would have bought a new knuckle too, because you do not want to mess with that. Okay, let's see some other components in here. Here's another version of the front control arm, kind of the same. So these don't, the only thing that typically goes bad in these are the bushings. The aluminum usually doesn't go bad, and this spindle doesn't usually go bad either. But rather than trying to buy just a new one of these, because they sell just these rubber ones, I don't sell them because you have to have a press. It's kind of a pain. These aren't that expensive. You don't really save that much more money over just buying the rubber piece. So I just sell the whole thing. It's a lot easier. All right, we got a bunch of different air filters up here. So these are for a Tesla Model 3 and a Model Y. They come with two filters. If you remember that blue thing I showed you earlier, it's about the same size as this. Well, it is the same size as this. These are the two filters that you use. These are actually HEPA filters, and HEPA filters, they filter out up to 99.9% of all particulates, and that's what this does. So it's got HEPA, charcoal, baking soda, and then antimicrobial technology, whatever that is. You say, Marianne, Sean, I am Marianne. Hello. Movitech Supreme. Yeah, you see that? Yep, I do have some of those things. Those are aftermarket. Good eye. This is most of the stuff I have is Tesla specific. I mean, everything I have is for Tesla, but everything else I either have sourced through other manufacturers or get it from Tesla. But this is one of the few things that aftermarket. I have these and then these other Suspensia items. But pretty much everything else is Tesla. But yeah, these are control arms, or I'm sorry, these are outer tie rod ends for a Tesla Model X. Yeah, the biohazard mode. Dang, sour media. I don't know how you say it. CYR media. You know a lot. Um, yeah, the biohazard mode, it's pretty legit. That filter that I was just showing you actually isn't for that. The biohazard filter is right here. It's actually way bigger. I'm not going to open this one up, but this is actually the biohazard filter for the Tesla Model S. So as you can see, quite large. If anybody doesn't, I guess I should explain what that is. Biohazard mode is like biohazard mode. Yeah, I saw the big bio on my channel or somebody else's channel. Um, so yeah, these ones, the Model S ones, what was I gonna say? Oh, for anybody else on here that doesn't know what the biohazard mode is, if you press this mode on the car, it pulls through this filter, which filters out 99.9% of the filter or the particles, golly. And it filters out the air. So you can go through like smoke and stuff and it filters out the air. It does a really good job at it. They got a bunch of demos online for it. The other one, this one here, is for the Model X. And this one actually, they started making this a little bit differently. This one's not open either. But this one is actually double this. So it has a hinge in the middle. And so when you open it, it's actually that big. So this filter is actually this big. I used to have to ship them just like that. And they were always arriving messed up. And they charge a ton to ship them because it's such a big item. So they ended up basically putting a hinge in the middle, which worked out awesome. What? Sean's leaving? Oh, what? You, Marianne, you're leaving? Yeah, it would be. I mean, they show it working, sorry, I'm answering Star Media. It must be nice in the wildfire smoke because yeah, it's supposed to filter all that stuff out. So I would assume it does a good job. I've never actually messed with it, but luckily we don't have any wildfires around here. All right, let's see. Let's get this random box. This one has a bunch of parts in it. It's a bunch of small items. So these here are four door speakers for Tesla Model S and X. These here are the mechanisms that move the back seats on the Tesla Model X. And so there's a bunch of these. There's one that does the recline, there's one that does the forward, the aft. And so there's a ton of different ones of these. I say a ton. There's like five different ones. So each one of these is different. But these are prone to breaking. There's another one. That's a lot of it in here. All right. This is the latch for a Tesla Model S. Oh, you're up in Maine? That's cool. Yeah, it's real cold up there. Poor guy. This is the horn for a dual horn for this is for all models actually. It used to be different ones for the S and the X, but now all the models S, X, Y, and Cybertruck all have the same horn, low note and a high note. The Model Y is pretty roomy and a good size, mid-size SUV, don't you think? Yeah. Yeah, and they're so cheap. I mean, you can lease one right now for 299, which is really cheap. I mean, depending on your scenario, but from what they were to what they are now, I mean, they're so cheap. But the Model X, yeah, I like that one. That's definitely at a higher price point. You know, you're talking that one's like 100, close to 100, where the Model 3 or the Y is like 60, 50. Still not cheap, cheap, but this is a charge port door for a 3 and a Y, another charge port door. And what else? This is a blend door actuator. That's about it. There's a ton more stuff in there. I don't want to pull it all out. I'm probably boring you guys. So, well, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I appreciate you guys logging in. Wasn't the Cybertruck originally supposed to be a 30K for the two-wheel drive? Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah, they don't even have the two-wheel drive or the rear-wheel drive version out yet. We're still waiting on that one. So, yep. I was in line to get one. I had a reservation and everything. I wasn't so sure about the looks of it. It looks crazy, but I get to drive one pretty regularly. A buddy of mine has one, and he lets me take it whenever I want. And God, it drives so nice. It's such a nice driving car. I mean, I have a Model S, but driving that truck, it just handles so good. It has the four-wheel steering. The full self-driving on that is amazing. Um, it just a lot of people don't like it, and you have to deal with that drama, unfortunately, when you drive it. I mean, there's people that were like, "Thumbs up," and then the very next person will be like, flipping you off. So it's very polarizing. A lot of people either love it or hate it, but there's not a lot of in between. So, but yeah, I was gonna get one because the prices kept increasing. Well, then they dropped the prices on other new cars. There are other like the Model S, for example, they dropped the prices on that, which tanked the value on my car. So then I was gonna be upside down on my car. So to buy another depreciating asset, I just couldn't do it. So, I mean, buying a car is never great, but when you have one that tanks as bad as mine did, definitely makes you say, "Well, let's hold the brakes a little bit." So, hopefully someday we get one, but definitely not anytime in the near term future. So, well, I think I'm gonna wrap up. Does anybody have anything else? I appreciate you guys joining in. It's been cool. Oh, hopefully, sorry I missed you, Sean. See you later, buddy. All right, guys, I'm gonna log off. Thank you guys for coming in and have a great day.